So Samsung launched the new S25 devices for this year. We have all the devices and I think all of the colors. And just a quick unboxing here. On the left, we have the S25 Ultras. In the middle, we have the S25 Pluses. And then on the right, the regular S25s. And these all start at 12 gigs of RAM this year. Pricing, at least in the US, remains the same as last year. Now, the device that's changed the most in terms of its physical shape compared to the previous generation is the S25 Ultra. And if you look at the S24 Ultra from last year, it still has the flat screen like we saw last year, but the corners, the edges, the frame of the device is just completely different. It's now a very flat device on the sides. And it's actually quite different from anything we've seen before on the Ultra lineup. They've always had rounded edges. Even last year it was like a flatter version, but like still quite rounded. And now it's just a completely flat device, very similar in design aesthetic to the regular S25 devices. I really like the way this new shape feels and looks. I think it's because I'm so used to flat edge phones over the past couple of years, but it's lost the iconic design. To me, the Ultra phones have always had this round shape, and it is a little strange to me that they got rid of it just to go to a more almost generic looking phone, but it does feel nice. Now the S25 and S25 Plus didn't get any kind of design overhaul. They actually look very similar to last year's model. So if you compare it to the S24 here, they're quite difficult to distinguish. The big tell for me is just like the concentric rings around the lens. But aside from that, these are very, very similar in terms of the actual design. But underneath the hood, things are quite different. We'll get there in a second. So because of the new shape and design, the S25 Ultra actually has a different screen than the previous generation. This now has a more rounded corner on all of the edges of the screen, and it's just a larger screen, thinner bezels, and just a slightly larger panel. It didn't get any brighter. It still peaks at 2600 nits, and it's a very nice looking screen. It's QHD+, 120 Hz, and because it's an LTPO panel, it goes between 1 and 120 Hz when it needs. The S25 Ultra does get the new Gorilla Armor 2, which is just an improved glass surface compared to the model last year. So the S24 Ultra had regular Gorilla Armor 1, and it's just supposed to be more fracture resistant and less prone to damage on the new one. Now, it does look also that the kind of anti-reflective coating is different, like it's just throwing off a different hue if you look at that overhead light that I'm trying to reflect. Maybe it's a different oleophobic coating this year, and if you want to protect it, the new glass from Dbrand is really easy to install, but again, only the Ultra models get it. The regular S25, so this is just the Plus, you can see a very large difference in just how that overhead light is reflecting. And it is a very nice feature. It's something that isn't particularly new for this year, but every time I pull up one of these S25 or S Ultra devices, it's so obvious as to how nice that anti-reflective coating is. In terms of colors this year, the Ultras come in a titanium black, titanium gray, titanium silver blue, and then a titanium white silver. The two on the left have this natural colored titanium frame. It's kind of like a darker metal color, and then the two on the right have the lighter colored kind of white silver frame. But my favorite color of the bunch is by far the titanium, like the gray one. This is such a nice natural metal color to me. And then for the regular S25 and S25 Plus, we got silver shadow, mint, icy blue, and navy. Now on these particular models, the frame matches the color of the actual device just a little bit more closely. The mint in particular looks really nice to me. And then the navy blue looks really cool as well. Yeah. I really like the colors this year. Now, in terms of the internal hardware, the biggest change is going to be that chip. They're now running the Snapdragon 8 Elite chips with bigger vapor chambers this year for better cooling. And from my previous testing of that chip, it is fantastic. The biggest difference is just energy efficiency. The battery life across all of the devices I've tested with that chip are like a solid 25%. That's a conservative number, like closer to 30% improvement in just regular battery life testing compared to previous gen. And because Samsung didn't increase the battery size this year, the power efficiency of this chip is even more important. I'm actually surprised. The battery size being still 5,000 milliamp hours on the Ultra is a little bit disappointing. There are phone brands out there that have phones of similar size and form factor that are 6,000 milliamp hours or more. So it's just what I would like to see. I understand that it's Samsung, and at this point they're probably more conservative with like how much or how willing they are to pack their phones with batteries because of things that have happened in the past, but it's still a fairly undersized battery The camera hardware on the S25 and S25 Plus remain basically the same as the previous generation, but on the Ultra, there's a couple changes. The Ultra Wide now has a 50 megapixel sensor, and the device now supports shooting in log. So you can shoot just very flat footage that has a lot of light data, but then tweak it and adjust it in post. Now there is a camera feature that does seem to be removed from the new S25 Ultra, and it's with the S Pen. So the new S Pen, supposedly, I mean, I saw some rumors about it, has Bluetooth like disabled, or it's no longer a Bluetooth capable S Pen, which I wasn't able to confirm or deny it. It's just, I was just trying to test it. This is the S24 Ultra here on the right. And just let me show you real quick. If you're familiar with the S Pen on the Galaxy Ultra devices, you can use the little button on the S Pen to take pictures. Like you can walk away and just like, if you want to take a selfie or like a picture of the ceiling of the studio, you would be able to just press the button and take it. Like I'm pressing the S Pen side button and it just snaps a photo. And the idea is that you can be far away from your phone and just use it to take pictures. But on the new S25 Ultra, it doesn't work. Like it just, I don't know. So I think all of the air gestures and air actions that were the Bluetooth requiring features, they don't seem to exist on the S Pen anymore. Now, again, I can't confirm that this is or isn't a thing, but from my testing, it seems like it's gone. I don't think Bluetooth on the S Pen is super important for the average user, but I am surprised they removed it because I'm sure some people found it useful, but also it just feels like they're not gaining anything out of it. Like why would Samsung even remove it in the first place? And I also tested it on several phones just to be like, is it a particular unit? But yeah, it seems to be gone. I just, my cynical mind thinks maybe Samsung removed it, and this is crazy, but maybe they removed it to make it more attractive for people to have like Samsung watches, to be able to do like the remote shutter on cameras. That's crazy. There's no way. But I just cannot wrap my head around any possible reason why they would do it. There's also this new case from Samsung that's a little bit interesting. If you'll notice, it has a ring in the middle. It's actually a ring of magnets, and it's called the MPP case. And this essentially gives it MagSafe charging capabilities. So if you have, this is actually a Samsung charger right here. It's like, it's made for Samsung, and it's MagSafe charge. Now, when you use this case specifically, you get Qi 2 wireless charging speeds. The most significant improvement to me for the S25 family is in the software. So One UI 7 launches with these devices, but it's the AI features that are specific to the S25 devices that are really interesting. So last year we saw a bunch of stuff launch with the S24 family, and like circle to search, and those were neat features, but none of them felt particularly impressive to me. This year on the S25 devices, they have something really neat. It's essentially multi-step Gemini/Samsung integration.
Find a pet-friendly Italian restaurant with outdoor seating nearby, and text it to Luca.
So they've built a two-step AI assistant. You can get it to find some info and then do something with that info. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture the footage of me testing this stuff, but this is what I asked it. The first thing I said was, if it's snowing tonight, adjust my alarm and wake me up 30 minutes earlier. And it checked, it said it wasn't snowing, so it wouldn't adjust my alarm. And the second thing I asked it was, how far away am I from the airport? And if it's more than 10 minutes, message Jenny, or like my wife, and tell her that I'm gonna be late. And it did it. And the other thing I did was like, check the Raptors schedule, one of the next 3 games, and add those to my calendar. During my tests with the pre-release software, it didn't work 100% reliably every time, but I'm so impressed by how often it does work, and when it does, it almost feels so much more advanced than I thought that we would be when it comes to phone AI assistants. I think it's because this feature genuinely feels like something most people would use because it saves you a significant amount of time and just like clicks and taps on your phone to be able to do 2 different things that would normally take like 30, 40, sometimes 60 seconds to complete. It's done in like an 8-second voice prompt. Now, I do think all of those new AI features are currently launching on the S25 family first. I imagine that they'll go to the older devices in due time, at least the ones that are capable of it. I just found this feature so much more impressive than any of the AI features we've seen on phones thus far. It's just the ability to actually do things that you would normally do in multiple steps in one voice prompt. I found that so cool. Okay, there you have it. That's the new S25 lineup. I'll be doing a review on the Ultra very soon.